in the neighborhood. Once again, thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, I'm Johnny Noriega. Today, special guest, Aron Jaime. He is a realtor from Realty of Chicago, out of the city of Chicago. Aron, thank you so much for joining us, man. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to have you on for two reasons. Number one, we have a hometown connect.
Yes.
Can you tell the people what our hometown connect is?
So we are both from Joliet. Joliet, Illinois. Yes. Who would have thought, huh? Actually, in Joliet, we never actually quite met, right? We met through the industry, and the industry kind of brought us together.
Correct. So yeah, I met you. Was it 3 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
And
through my cousin, right?
Yes. Yeah. So the connection's a little deeper than just Joliet. So my brother is friends with your cousin.
Yeah. He was telling me. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So then when he was like, hey, we're going to find a house, we helped them together. And that's how we kind of first got the connection. But then in talking to you, we got that Joliet connection, and you went to West or Central?
So I went to both. I was both a Tiger and a Steelman.
How does that work?
So my first 2 years, I went to Joliet West, freshman and sophomore, and then my second 2 years, junior and senior, I went to Joliet Central and graduated from Central. So I have love for both high schools.
Well, I think at one time they tried to merge. At least when I was there, they tried to merge the teams.
Yes.
Which was with the Tigers.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And then it didn't work.
So it was a Steelman altogether, right? It was both Central and Joliet West were both Steelman.
Yeah.
And then I think the very last year I graduated, that's when they split, and then Joliet West was Tigers, and then Central was Steelman.
Yeah. What year did you graduate?
09.
09. Okay. Yeah. Because I was 06, and I think that's when they had first started talking about putting it together.
Yes.
And it was like a mixed reaction. Some people didn't care. Some people were like, no.
Now when it comes to soccer, now it's a big rivalry now between Joliet and Central. Yes.
Well, it should be. It's a big town. It's enough for both two schools, so it's good. Yeah. And plus the real estate market there is, it's awesome.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
I think when it comes to, price points, especially for first-time buyers, good price points to where they still have a nice, $1,200 payments, I think is doable.
Correct.
In Joliet.
Correct. That and also the taxes. Taxes are one of the lowest I've seen around in the area, Chicagoland suburbs. A lot of it is because of the amount of businesses that are in Joliet. We have the casinos, so that's able to bring down the taxes for the people who are living in Joliet. So as far as taxes, it's one of the best ones I've seen.
Yeah, and I think for casinos, I frequent Hollywood a little bit.
Hollywood, yes.
Hollywood. I have a friend that works at Harris, but I don't know. Once they did away with the boats,
I know,
which is a little bad, because when I was under 21, I saw them every day when I would drive by there, and I'm like, when I turn 21,
first thing I'm going,
take them right around the canal, and then I turn 21, and then they do away with it. So
exactly.
We got the short end of that stick, but it's a good town. It's been good to my family, to myself.
Yes.
But you recently have moved on.
I've made a move. Where
are you at now?
To actually move to the neighborhood of Pilsen in Chicago.
Okay. Is that closer to work, or is that
correct? To my office in 1118 West 18th Street in Pilsen.
Okay.
Realty of Chicago there. So yeah, it's literally about a block from
nice.
our office. So it's I just walk to the office every day.
Did you used to commute like before?
For a whole 2 years. My first 2 years, I was back and forth. Yeah, Joliet and back and forth every day.
Like car, train. Like what was your
car?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
So a lot of miles on that.
Correct.
Correct. Now
yes.
not so much. Well, that's
exactly.
Good.
Exactly.
Well, tell me a little bit about your start with real estate. So, how long have you been in the business? What are the good, the bad? Tell me how you started with real estate.
Correct. So before I started into real estate as a realtor, I was a firefighter EMT, right? Nice. And so I've always had that passion to help people, and I also wanted to help as many people as I could, and also be an investor in real estate, right? So eventually what I did is I was like thinking, I'll go into real estate and learn more about the industry as a realtor and know the deals that are out there, study the market, because the realtors have they're looking at when a property comes out, they're the first ones to see it. So I wanted to have my license so I could have that advantage and also help people. And so that's how I started. I got my license. I was a firefighter, EMT, and a realtor part-time for my first year and a half. And then I saw the great the great advantages of being full-time. So I went full-time into real estate, and now I'm part-time as a firefighter.
Oh, nice. So it must be going good if you can now take your full-time job, go part-time, and still go full force.
Correct.
Which I mean, with anything, if you go full-time 100%, you're going to end up doing better.
Correct.
Once you put your full-time into it.
Correct.
And I'm sure also, especially when you first start off, the training, the mentoring is huge. Now, it's Realty of Chicago, the company you started with, or did you?
Correct.
Work someone before? Or?
So I saw a Realty of Chicago on social media, and as soon as I got my
that's everywhere. You guys are everywhere.
Yeah.
If you guys are on Facebook a lot and have not seen Realty of Chicago, you're I don't know who you're following, but you guys are hard to miss. I'll tell you that much.
You know what? And it was like I saw them on social media back then. I didn't even have my license, but I knew I liked what they were doing with their social media, advertising and how they were putting themselves out there, their branding. So before I even got I was still in school and I got my license, I went to go talk to the managing broker of the Pilsen office, which is David Dominguez.
Okay.
And I went to talk to him and told him, is there anything that I could do right now that could put me ahead of the ball? And he kind of told me, but obviously I needed my license to just start. So from there, I started with, as soon as I got my license, next day, I went over, talked to him, and I'm ready. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then he basically, David, Eddie Garcia also, which is the owner of Realty of Chicago, it's they took me under their wing and pretty much, I followed them, went on showings with them, and obviously they're very successful. And so I went with them, and the first year I was just tagging along with them, and they have no problem showing you what they know, and eventually, I learned everything from them as far as now, building my own brand and
that's a huge deal whenever you're starting a new career path, because when you're brand new, you don't know anyone, you're learning the material, the product knowledge, and obviously as with experience, as you start dealing with your first deal, your 10th deal, your 20th deal, but in this business, it's changing. Like, it's constantly changing. There's regulations that come and go. There's rules that come and go. Taxes go up and down. Every client's different. So there is no all right, here's a 50-page booklet on how to be a realtor, right? So it's all about the experience. It's all about the scenarios and how to react and how to adjust to those things.
Correct.
And it sounds like they gave you that when you first started there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, they have the process, but obviously it's just like a checklist. This is you really learn when you're out there in the street, trying to talking to your clients, if this is worrying them, why is it in their mind that this is what they're worrying for? Is there an ultimate goal that they have? What is their ultimate goal? Don't just sit with them, get a consultation. This is what you're looking for. Find out why is it that they're looking for that. Yeah. Is it because they have a big family that's why they want a big house? Or is it a 2-unit better for them, or a single family home with more bedrooms? What are their long-term goals as well? Do they want to make money after a while? What if their kids, eventually move to college? Are they going to be able to afford, this house later on? So you kind of put everything all together. It's not just like a checklist. You kind of make it more, it's a human, so you kind of want to bond and figure out what the best option for them is. And so that's really what I learned from
it. And is that now, so when you're talking, let's say a buyer, so the initial questions of your basic, how many rooms, what area. I mean, I assume that's where you start, but then as you start to have these conversations with them, you'll start maybe realizing, okay, well, maybe, let me show you a house at this area. Correct. You said you wanted this. I might have not found it here, but it's here, and maybe we can go here. Is that sometimes where the client relies on a realtor to kind of give them that guidance? Is that part of it too?
Correct. You have people who are they want to move to a certain area, but then they have kids and they're like, actually having a good school district for their kids is actually way more important. So you kind of look into, okay, how about if we move to this area, your kids will be able to go to this district. Right. And so you're able to factor everything in.
And sometimes they're very specific. I've had clients where they're like, I need to buy a home and I need to be qualified in this specific school district.
Correct.
Whatever the reason is, either they went to it or they researched it and that's where they want, and that's the one they want to stick to. So sometimes you'll run into those situations where I know exactly the area, just as soon as a house pops up, I'm all for it. So,
exactly.
So that's good.
Exactly.
That's good. Okay. Yeah. Now, when it comes to sellers, what's the difference there? So with buyers, obviously, you're looking in different spots, you're driving around town. What's the main, let's say, 2 or 3 things that you look at when you're on an initial listing consultation, let's say?
So obviously, when you're on the listing consultation, you kind of want to look at the reason why they're selling, right? Okay. Sometimes you go to them and they're selling because they want to move to another state, right? So when do you want, like, how fast are you urgent to selling, because that can dictate our price too, right? If you're willing to maybe, get the biggest bang for your buck, are you willing to, do we have the luxury of time, right? Can we put it as high as we can go, and so we can, get the most money out of it? Or is it, you need to sell like right now this summer so you can start in a new house so your kid can start in a new school, So a lot of those factors, same thing, it goes a lot to finding out what the reason is that they're selling, That's really what it comes down to.
And how do you come up with a price? I've always wondered that. Like when it comes to, a house, 180, 200, 220, what's the biggest factor in like setting a price for a client?
Correct. So you kind of want, always we go to their property, see what the condition of it, like it says 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, basement, roof, like when was the last time it got installed? Does it have a garage? How big of a lot is it? And we compare it to what has sold in the area, like in the last 3-6 months, right? We usually like to do half a mile. And the reason why we do that is because the appraiser of a potential of the buyer who's gonna go with this property, their appraiser is going to actually do the same search that I just mentioned. And so we want for them to appraise it, because obviously we would like to sell it as high as we can, but eventually the bank will, they'll put a stop into it. Yeah.
Present.
Exactly. So you want to get as much money, but also be able to say, you know what, this is what has sold in this area. Here it is. It's actually like very comparable to this home right here, right. And this is why we're selling at this price. Right. Because if we sell for way over what the market is actually saying that the properties have sold around in that area, then we'll probably not be able to.
It won't move as much.
Exactly.
So it'll be on the market, because I've seen places where they sit. On average, maybe like a week, if that, and then boom, contingent, boom, under contract.
A good pricing, a good good advertisement. That's the market time we're looking at right now. So it's a seller's market.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a huge tip, guys. So if you guys are looking to sell your home this year, having it, obviously listed at a correct price with the market comps, will almost guarantee a very quick sale.
Correct.
Or if not, at the very least, a lot of showings. A lot of interest. Because then I also see places that, for whatever reason, there might be other factors, but if one of them's price, they'll sit there 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, and then they'll be like, well, what's wrong with it? Why isn't it moving?
Exactly.
There's a little hesitation maybe sometimes.
Exactly.
From that. So how do you get past that, though? Because obviously when it comes to, like you said, we're in a people business, and sometimes, you might say, hey, look, it's saying 230. But then the guy goes, but I lived here 35 years and my dad used to own the house and I think it's, 275, 300. That's where I would assume your guidance comes in, right?
Yes.
You show them the information.
Correct. You gotta build trust, a trust relationship with them, and that's what if they're not, going with. We're the professionals here, right? We're in real estate, right? We know what the market is saying. So if they're not, accepting the information that we bring to them, right? It's not necessarily that the information is not convincing to them, it's that they don't trust the realtor, right? So if they don't trust the realtor, the information kind of is I know, but so you have to develop that relationship with them. So as an agent, it's up to us. That's what I mean about building that relationship, figuring out their why, and that trust is everything. So if you develop the trust, they'll know that the information you're bringing to them is the best information and the information that's going to get them the most money.
Right. Right. And at the end, you have a good result. You end up having a very successful closing, a very happy family, and
Correct.
then that's where you develop these referrals from past clients, and then it's
exactly
it's one of the best. I had one actually earlier this morning that called me. It was a previous client from last year, and it's almost like the trust is already there when the referral comes in, because it's like, well, you took care of my brother. I'm looking for this type of service as well, and he ran in and raved about you, and now let's start the process. Obviously, the situation, the process is still the same, but now there's that extra level of trust. But you can't buy it, you can't negotiate it, you can't force it in there. It's something that's got to come unnatural.
Exactly.
And we've worked a few deals together, and I think I noticed that from the very first time that I talked to him to at the closing when we're sitting there. It's like one of those things to where I think what's going to set you apart from your everyday, just someone that's clerking, just sees numbers, whereas someone that sees families, I think that's huge. And there's a huge difference, right, between someone that just sees numbers and just someone that sees families. So
exactly.
I think maybe your reach will go a little bit further, and nothing beats a good referral. Hey, your brother, your cousin.
Exactly.
And obviously that'll come with more time and more clients, but. Sounds like you're doing great, man.
Yes.
So keep it up.
Thank you.
I wanted to kind of touch base a little bit too on, the specific program that we still here at Neighborhood Loans do with the Daca Program. So we actually have one currently right now in the pipe that's going through Daca. A little bit background for everyone out there with Daca. In 2012, President Obama enacted executive order. Everyone loves executive orders that gave this group of people a sort of ability to work, to start coming out of the shadows and participate in everyday things like buying a house.
Yes.
And it was in my experience with loans, it definitely opened up another section of people to help, which was huge. Now, the great thing about the program is that it runs the exact same as a regular, conventional loan, to where good credit score, whatever down payment you have, that's the merits that we look at, for the approval. Recently, though, there's been a pause on the program. It's kind of up in the air. We really don't know if it's going to get either expanded a little bit more, if there's going to be a pathway to citizenship. But I'm sure you've noticed there's a lot of banks nowadays that are stopping these loans from going through. I think even if I'm not mistaken, FHA altogether, there's even less banks, if any at all, that are still doing the FHA side of it. Conventional, we're one of the few that are still doing it. But let me ask you, did you notice, when it came to your clients and maybe your prospects, from one day, hey, you're good now, you can find something, to where now there's it's not a yes, it's not a no, it's in the air, right? Did you notice any sort of with your clientele, some sort of movement on that, or?
I mean, yes. It did. Obviously, when the program with the FHA, Daca, that was something that unfortunately it's becoming less and less.
Right.
So yeah, it's something that's affecting. But just right now with the ability that there is still a chance.
Yeah.
I would say do it right now, because it, like you just said, it could go
Right.
go like out any time now. And so the fact also with if maybe down the line something comes through where if you prove what do you contribute? What are your contributions to this country? Well, I pay taxes on this property that I own. I'm a homeowner, and this is the time that I've been here. You own a home now, so
Right.
it's something. It's something that's gonna help you out later down the road. That
Yeah, and I think it's a very with politics nowadays, man. It's like it's one side, it's the other side. You go back and forth all day long, right? But I think at the very core of it, at least on our end in our business, the ability to help more people is always a good thing.
Yes.
I don't think you could be against helping more people get into homes, start paying taxes, start paying mortgages, start building that sort of wealth for your family. So
Exactly.
I think it's good all around. So one thing I did know about you is you're a boxing fan.
Oh my
You're a
God!
boxing
Yes.
fan, right? So
Yes.
on my end, not so much. So I can't sit here and like.
Let me find out you're an MMA fan. Oh.
You know what? I will admit that I've seen more.
Oh my
pay-per-view.
God.
I've paid for more pay-per-view MMA fights than I have boxing. But I will tell you, the excitement level isn't as big with MMA. You have your knockouts here and there. It's great, but just a 12-round bout, is something that it's almost like art.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yes.
again, I'm not a huge, I can't name you weight classes and champs and stuff like that, but the times I have, been in front of the screen and have watched, and even live sometimes at some sporting events, if there's a legit good fight, I mean, it's almost like a work of art.
Yeah.
Now, are you in the ring too?
I used to. Not anymore. For now, it would be in the super heavyweight division. So no. But back then for sure. And actually, it's more like a friendly competition with MMA guys. But
Sure.
Anyone's willing to step up in the ring, and it takes guts for sure.
Yeah.
And for sure, that's why I respect that because there's no playing boxing. You're
Sure. Yeah.
or MMA. It's a tough sport for sure, but it teaches discipline. It teaches that when you get hit, how to react when you get hit, and it kind of goes with life too. If you take a hit, it's not if you're gonna take a hit, what are you gonna do after you can take a hit?
Exactly.
So that's what I love about boxing. And it looks like an individual sport, but it really is a team sport. That also teaches you work as a team.
Well, the training.
Your coach.
I mean, these guys will train and coach.
Correct.
And it's almost like they have their specific camps and stuff where they go away for months at a time.
Correct.
To train.
Yeah. So.
I do remember the last fight I saw, Andy Reese, the heavyweight champ, right?
Yeah.
Now, were you following that bout? Like you were gonna watch it, or was that one that you just like heard about?
So that one I heard the next day, but I obviously was following it. I just didn't see the fight until the next day, and that was a big underdog.
Well, most people thought it was gonna be a cakewalk. Most people thought maybe it wasn't even worth watching because it's just gonna be over quickly.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, I mean, even someone that really doesn't follow like I do, I was all over it too. I was like, man, someone that looks like me is the heavyweight champion.
I can make it.
let me get in the. Let me put some gloves on. Let me put some gloves on.
Exactly.
I can't run 10 miles, but I can try to do what he does. But no, but that's like you said. It definitely teaches you a lot of life lessons.
Yes.
I did a little bit of the sports, as a kid. And one of them was Taekwondo.
Really?
Yeah. So my brother and we got signed up with my parents, and we had. Oh man, I think I was maybe like 12, 13, and we did it for maybe like 2 years, maybe 3 years, and we did like the belts and the tournaments, and we'd break the boards, and we have the sparring. I even was like at a sparring event, and what's funny is I was right at the cutoff for the next age group because I think it went from I think it was like 7 to 10, and then 11 to 13. I think it was 13 or 4. I think it was 13 at the time. The cutoff was 12. and I was put into the 13 to like 16 group, and here I am, a little 13-year-old.
You're like, I'm great.
With like a 60-year-old just kicking my butt. And safe to say, I got eliminated that first match. But the master, the trainer at the gym there, same thing. He's like, hey man, there's always gonna be bigger people than you.
Yeah,
this stuff is always gonna happen. But
exactly,
dust yourself off and get back out there. And that's you bring that everywhere, right? And even in real estate, where every day is different, every client's different, every situation is different. Especially in the summer where it's like that times 100 because it's so busy, right? So you have these new clients coming in, these ones you're trying to close, and there'll be days where you're just rocking it and you're killing it, and you're, you go out and you have a drink, you celebrate, but then there's days where it's like, man, this client backed out on this listing that we were going to get, and this buyer still can't find a property, and you just have days where you can feel it in your eyes right here.
Yes.
But go to bed, wake up fresh the next day.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's about.
Exactly.
Have you had days like that, up and down kind of thing?
Oh my God, real estate is definitely a roller coaster ride, right? Yeah. But it, like you said right now, you put it exactly how it works out, right? You have a bad day, but you wake up next day, and then it's like, all right, what can I do? Find solutions, and that's what realtors do. Honestly, we're here to find solutions. The client is trusting us, and so we're the solutions. We're the experts. So, next day, wake up, find a solution to their problem, and that's a value that a realtor brings. I believe that's the biggest value that a realtor brings.
What story sticks out the most? What family or what client that let's say a buyer that kind of went through their ups and downs, or went through maybe credit issues, or maybe like what's one that really sticks out buyer wise? I mean,
God, everyone is so special, right? That's hard, but I would say I just had one where we had the client, he was gonna sell his home and then buy another one at the same time, right? And that was a very stressful situation because it's not just you're depending on one transaction, you're depending on also the buyer of the property that he was selling, right? So,
which, sorry to cut you off, but I've been there where there's like 10 transactions.
Oh my God, yes.
Connected.
Yes.
So if I'm selling my home, whoever's buying my home is selling their home, and someone's buying their home. And because a standard transaction is someone's renting and they're buying maybe like a vacant property.
Exactly.
And there's just one in one deal.
Exactly.
But there's times where you'll have buyers selling, buying,
yes.
selling, and
yes.
then if one little,
yes.
is that kind of what happens?
That's exactly what happens. And see, as realtors, that's where we also, another thing where we come in, right? So obviously, some people have this misconception that realtors kind of are very competitive against each other, which we are, but at the same time, it's like we network within us, because if it wasn't because in that deal, I made friends with other realtors before we got to this transaction. We were able to work together easier, and the communication was there, and like, okay, this is what's going on, let's fix it. Okay. And since we were just the trust was there also with the other realtors, it kind of like as long as everybody worked together, we were able to get through all the hustle. But it still made it very, very very hectic as far as maybe not closing on the day that we wanted it to,
right,
because we had to figure other stuff out.
Yeah.
So,
and sometimes that happens. Sometimes you'll have your contract close dates, and whether it's some issue with the appraisal,
correct,
the inspection report, financing, something pops up that wasn't known before, seller, buyer, whatever the issue is. That's when people start to worry, right? People are like, what do you mean? We're not going to close? Or
exactly.
What's going to happen? But I think having that level of communication is what sets it apart. Would you say so? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for sure.
I think with no communication, that's where it gets even worse.
Oh my God.
Because I think eventually it
yeah.
closes. Eventually you'll get there.
Yeah.
But then you'll be at the closing table. A lot of guys like, let's just sign it. Let's get out of here.
Yes,
right? Totally your thumbs. Not making eye contact with the people in there. But I learned this quickly on when I first got licensed. I was like, the first thing is just communicate it. Just whether it's good news, bad news. Obviously, do your due diligence as a loan officer up front, because that peace of mind once they're out there looking with that pre-approval, there shouldn't be huge things that pop up. But in the event that again, appraisal, inspection, anything comes up, right away communicate.
Correct.
Aaron, this appraisal, 7,000 short.
Correct.
Aaron, this I don't know, it's never happened, but this borrower went on vacation, and
it's happened. Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah, but just immediately communicate it that way. If there's a solution that maybe I didn't know about, then boom, you're on top of it. Or if there's a solution that someone else can jump in on your team, then we do it.
Exactly.
You mentioned before we started rolling here a saying in your office.
Oh yes.
I want you to share that.
Yes. So we have every time something comes up, where is it under appraisal, or let's say a client we got under contract and then he went and bought a new car and ran his credit, and now his debt to income ratio is all over the place. So we're like, what are we gonna do? And we go to and we just say, just close it. And that's something about that saying kind of makes your mind work in creative ways, because you're like, it's up to me. Like there's nobody else. They're just it's the help is just close it. that's the advice.
Just close it.
It's like going to Google, like trying to find something and it says just close it.
You're like, wait, somebody the answer.
Can I 911 with somebody?
Yeah.
No, just close it.
There's a fire.
Yeah.
Just put it out.
Exactly.
No, but I get
exactly.
it though. I get it because it is when you're backed into like, and I'm probably exaggerating, but like when you're backed into a corner and you're running out of options, that's I think when the mind starts to just work a little faster. You start to maybe like, oh, what about this? Oh, what if we do this? Because I know for sure on the loan side, if I have a family that really wants to get into a home and maybe it's not the best credit, it's not the best down payment, it's not the best situation, you say, well, what if we do this? What if you pay off this card and then there's a way to do it. You don't just give up. You don't just move on to the next one, because that's easy. It's easy to just move on to the next one. Let's find someone that has a great score, 100,000 in the bank. Like let's close that one. Sure,
correct.
We could, correct. But then again, you cast a wider net when you take the time to really dig deep and just close it.
That's what I meant about boxing too. It's like when you take a hit and then you're tired and you're back into the corner. The guy's not stopping. He's gonna keep going after you because you're not. So you better think of something, get creative, dig deep within you, and otherwise, it's gonna keep on coming onto you. So that's what I mean about how boxing also teaches you great lessons throughout life, and that's another great way to put it into real estate as well.
Yeah, awesome. Man. So what else? So let's say when you're not putting out fires, when you're not in real estate, what do we catch you doing out and about? So the good stuff. Just share the good stuff. I want the good stuff only.
So, man, is there life besides real estate? I don't know.
I know. You know what? We're in the middle of summer season at the summer market, and it legit is like you get home and it's like it's time for bed.
Exactly.
It's time for bed. And then you get up early, and then
for sure.
Even the week. Well, the weekends is a prime. That's
exactly.
prime time because weekends people are off. You can do more showings, more listings. The loan officer is just in their air conditioned office,
yes,
just chilling, waiting for the contract.
Shaking my head.
but yeah, I mean, you gotta find some time, Right. There's a lot of festivals. I think the Taste of Chicago is this weekend.
Taste of Chicago. I mean, we in Pilsen. Oh my God, it's like the premium festivals. We just had a Michelada Fest. We had
I was there.
Taco Fest.
Yeah.
I mean, then we have El Festival del Sol coming up, and I mean, Pilsen has just a lot of festivals, which, since I'm there, I do try to set an hour here just to go.
Yeah.
And also, it's in Pilsen, it's a great way to meet everybody there. So, it's that's something. Festivals in Chicago, it's something that's really
it's one of the things. So my sister lives in the city, and I make an effort to go up there because I live in Joliet still, and whenever I have late appointments, I make an effort to go out there and like hang out with her. And every time I go up there, man, like I look at the skyline, I look at the people walking around. It's just so alive, right?
Yes.
And it makes me like every time I go up there, I get closer and closer to just being like, you know what? I'm gonna move up. I'm gonna move up there. Maybe let's go find something, But it's definitely, there's always something to do up there.
Yes.
But it's good. It's good to have some sort of break here and there. It's good to just the brain gets a little an overdrive sometimes.
Correct.
And you gotta relax. So it's good. Cubs or Sox?
Socks.
Socks.
Yes. Yes.
Ellie, stop rolling. Turn these lights off. Let's get out of here. We split.
Yes.
We split the crosstown games.
Yeah.
We won. We each won one at each other's spots. I think I went to the game where Contreras hit that grand slam. But I missed the other ones where they lost. But so we broke even, right? We broke even. Mm-hmm. Football season's coming up. Huge Bears fan.
Bears fan, for sure. Yes.
All right. I'm a Cowboys fan. Just putting that out there. Now you're gonna kick me out. Turn the lights off here. But yeah, man. No, it's definitely something that the burb life and the city life. It's different. I've been living the burb life my whole life. What's one of the, obviously the people, the things to do, is that the biggest thing with you living up there now?
For sure, I would
Really?
say there's every weekend it doesn't sleep. Chicago, it's just always going. But obviously sometimes you do miss the tranquility of out in the burbs, and definitely there's you have your yards, which in Chicago sometimes the yards are not as big as out here in the burbs. So for sure, your yard, having the pool in your yard, so that's, and just relaxing in your backyard. So that's one of those things where you just like,
You can't get that up there.
Yeah,
You can't get that up
you
there.
can't. Yeah.
But there's more to do, and you gotta. There's more to do, and I'm sure when it comes to the number of families out there that are available to help, I mean, it's just a lot more up there.
Correct.
Now, what's the main thing though that you do to balance, let's say, clientele that are like, because I'm sure you still have a lot of clients in Joliet.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you're in the city, is it just more of like a scheduling thing? You just got to make sure
Correct.
that you're not driving. I got one in Joliet at 1, and then I go back to Chicago, and then one in Joliet.
Exactly.
You just have the structure to do it,
Exactly,
right?
and that's what it comes down to. Yeah, being able to schedule yourself correctly, and also, I mean, it is a competitive market, so it does happen where if a property comes out and I know this property is a hot market,
Right.
we're going to go see it no matter what, because it's just how the market is right now. So if not, we set up your days according to your schedule, and then I set up all clients in Joliet, and then another all day in Chicago, Berwyn, Sister, wherever it might be.
And guys, also that's another good thing that Aaron just brought up, is that you definitely want to work with a realtor that knows the area.
Yes.
You want to work with someone that like you have, has lived in those areas, that drives by it on a daily basis. Or now that you're in Pilsen, you have another area that you've grown familiar with. That's someone that mentions specific streets. You're not like, oh, let me look it up on the map. You're like, oh no, yeah, in Joliet, off of Black Road, off of Larkin, off of Jefferson.
And that is particularly important in Joliet, just because there's areas in Joliet that are in the flood zone, right? So if your realtor, if you takes you out to go a property, taxes are this, price is this, but then you realize once you're under contract that you're gonna need a flood zone insurance.
Yeah.
Flood insurance can get,
And those are not
Yeah.
cheap.
No,
Flood
no.
policies are not cheap.
Exactly.
I've actually run into that once before, where we got the property, and right away I'm like, well, it's like $100 a month for the flood policy, at least.
Yeah.
And for some people, $100 makes or breaks their approval.
For sure.
So it's definitely something with that canal that lovely canal. We gotta turn that into something, man. Riverwalk or something.
I know.
It's just been sitting there for
exactly.
years, for decades now.
Exactly.
But first I gotta fix that bridge. That 80 bridge. For those of you that don't know about the 80 bridge in Joliet, Google it. I'm sure there's news out there.
Once you pass it, it makes you feel alive.
I was talking to a friend.
Appreciate life.
They're like, just hit the gas. Just hit the gas. Cross it as fast as you can, and you'll be good.
Press nitrous, whatever you gotta do. Yeah, just get through it. Yeah.
One time I saw a person walking across the bridge, and I'm like, oh no, bless you. I don't know how you're gonna walk the whole thing without just freaking out. And there's literally a sign that says caution, which I never understood that because number one, they put the sign 3 seconds before you go into the bridge.
What are you gonna do?
So even if you want to stop and listen to the sign, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You have to.
What did that say? What? Oh, you already passed it. Yeah. No. Yeah. For sure.
You're on the way down. You're like, actually, read the sign.
Read the sign.
No,
yeah.
it's one of those things that you got to be from that area to understand.
Exactly.
What other? You know what? Let me ask you, Joliet area, right? So, do you know Waltz? The Waltz on Jefferson Street?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know why I just thought of this right now. When I was little, we used to live maybe 3 blocks away from that, from that place. And my brother and I would take our bicycles, and we'd go to the ice cream shop, and man, we'd go during the summer like every other day, and once you out of high school, you grew up a little bit, you stopped going as much, and now they gave us like 2 michoacanas.
Oh my God!
Maybe you'll find me there.
And then Los Mangos too.
We have Mangos now right off of Larkin.
Yes.
So that's even So I'll be there probably. What do you get there? Mangoneadas?
So mangoneadas, and also they have tamalocos, which is oh my God, I love it. So it's tamales, but they put like all the bad food you can think of, they put it in there, and it's delicious. I love it.
Everything that you should be eating,
exactly.
Dump it on there,
exactly.
And then it's a masterpiece. I like the Dorilocos.
Dorilocos is good.
So they have the Doritos with the hot Cheetos, and then they just throw a bunch of random stuff in there. To this day, I don't know what it is, but it's delicious. So if anything similar to that, it's good.
We're gonna get a little bit off topic. Have you had the hot Cheetos where they put corn on it, like the corn in the cup, right? But instead of having it on the cup, they actually throw it on the bag of Cheetos, and it's all together. Oh
Ellie,
my
have you
God.
had that?
Oh my God, legit.
We're gonna have to cut this a little bit.
We're gonna have to go over there right now.
Go over there. No, yeah. So I forget where I was going with it. Oh, so then I go to these spots now, and then the other day I went back to Waltz, and the same person that's been working there, like when I was little, is still there, and no, they didn't recognize me, but I recognized them, and it just took me back, man. It was one of those things where it's like, man, you start creating memories, and that's stuff like that sticks by you. One other thing that I'm very excited about, the Pizza Hut on Jefferson Street. When I was little, it used to be dine-in. You'd have the tables, you'd have the drinks, you could order the pizza, they'd bring it to you, boom, boom. Then they started. It was carry out and delivery only, so you couldn't go on there.
Right.
Now they did a remodel. Now you can dine in.
Nice.
So that's the
throwback.
That's the hot news.
Throwback.
That's the hot news. That's the hot news for the
It's
week.
the little things that makes us
Jefferson
happy,
Street Pizza Hut. Stuffed crust pizza, stuffed crust pepperoni pizza, the best pizza from Pizza Hut. Not the best pizza ever. I don't want to. No, I know everyone from Chicago is gonna be like, Pizza Hut. No. I will tell you the best pizza I've had. Have you ever been to Peace Pizza?
No.
In the city? I'm blanking right now on the. You know what's gonna bother me, so I have to look it up.
Yeah.
Peace Pizza. So it's a little different because it's got like peace sign.
Oh,
like peace.
Okay.
Peace Pizza, and where's it at? It's on North Avenue.
Okay. Best pizza.
Best pizza, which is weird because it doesn't have like the red marinara. It's got it's like a white. It's got like the white cheese, and then they have the oil that they put on it, and then you get whatever toppings you want. It's delicious. So it looks like it's on the corner of what is this? Milwaukee. It's in Wicker Park.
Okay.
North Ave and Damon and where all the streets intersect. So check it out. Pete's
Yeah.
Pizza, one of the best.
I will definitely
My
try
sister and I follow the pizza review guy. Do you know
Yeah.
the rates the pizzas? You ever seen him?
I have not seen him, but
No?
I think I've heard of him. Yeah.
He's from Barstool Sports, I think, the website. And he's always reviewing pizzas 1 through 10, and he's hilarious. It's I almost, Ellie, next time we're gonna do a pizza review with the next guest.
Yes.
But no, it's good.
Next interview, we're gonna do it there, and
Yes.
we're gonna be eating pizza.
We're gonna be eating.
Yeah.
How about now in Pilsen? What's a good hot spot? Let's say I'm hungry or I'm looking to have a good bite. The year you've been there.
God, there's so many.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite one is El Cantón Regio.
Okay.
It's they have so la carne there. It's you get a kilo of carne,
Cool.
and they bring it to you, carne asada, right? And it's like the best meat I've ever tried.
Really?
Yeah. It's,
Okay.
it's legit.
All right, well, we're gonna have to check that out.
Yes,
Have to check that
yes,
out.
yes.
Aaron, buddy, man, appreciate it. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on. I wanna, before we take off here, I wanna ask you. So, yard sign on the lawn. I need one piece of advice that you want to give clients out there, whether they're looking to buy or sell, or just life advice in general. What's your yard sign? What's it say? How's it read?
That's a good question. That's a good question. You know what? We're gonna have to keep it with. Just close it.
Just close it. I love it.
That's it. That's it.
Just close it. All right, guys. Thanks as always for joining us. Again, Aron Jaime, Realty of Chicago. Let them know how they can contact you. Give me a phone number. Email
Yes.
address.
So it's my phone number is 312-208-1213. Again, it's 312-208-1213.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.